It's working.
Yay!
Pro Tools, woo, yeah, woo.
Good old Pro Tools. You can always count it to work at
to work hours later than you
end.
need it to. Yeah. So you get nearly everything done, but not quite what you want.
You're still a bit late.
Yeah, shall we watch some cartoons?
I think so.
Welcome back to the Space Jam Continuum, the show where we try to make a cohesive cinematic universe out of something that was never meant to be one. I'm Chris McLennan.
I'm Carl Noble.
Happy New Year!
Yeah. It's going to be a good one.
I mean, it's a bit early.
It is a bit
three
new
more episodes to do, and then it'll be...
Yeah, should we save that till next episode?
No.
No? You want to do it now?
I want to do the countdown at the end of this one.
Right. And then we can do it.
And then the next episode, we could just have the previously on, and we'll be like, yay!
I should have got party poppers.
I'm sure we can work something out.
Yeah, I'll just do that noise again.
But this episode's going to take us up to the end of 1948.
It is.
We're getting close to the 50s. Imagine that.
What's going to happen in the 50s? I know. Like you know, it'll be like 20 years of tunes gone.
Well, I think the 40s is the most densely populated with archive footage.
Yes,
right?
yeah. I think when we've looked at it, it was kind of halfway through the 50s. It really starts to thin out. Yeah,
I think the 50s are still pretty dense, and 60s it's definitely just a big drop off. So it's like I feel like we're making real good progress.
We are making good progress. Wow.
Last week we caught a glimpse of the mastermind behind the Cinecolor cloning program.
Yeah.
And discovered that he'd fallen deathly ill.
And he just needed a good laugh for some reason.
We're presuming that the Cinecolor cloning program was sort of taken out of his hands when he sort of fell ill.
Yeah.
And is being used for more nefarious purposes than he originally intended.
Yeah, so I think it was like the creation of kind of super soldiers and various other things. I don't think were quite on his top of his list when he first started Cinecolor.
Yeah, I think I imagine it was for medical purposes. Like maybe he did have the disease and he was trying to sort it out.
Yeah, so he's trying to, I don't know, maybe grow himself some new organs or something. Because we don't know what was wrong with them.
Yeah, we did posit that he was going to John Malkovich himself into another body.
I think his funny bone was broken.
His funny bone was broken.
That's why he needed a good laugh. And he couldn't have.
But how would Daffy taking a pie in the face have fixed that?
Well, maybe it's just healed over time and he hasn't noticed. You know, if you broke his leg and lay down.
The butler wasn't letting anyone in to make him laugh.
Exactly.
Okay, so...
His funny bone was broken.
So we still don't know who's behind the more nefarious dealings of Cinecolor.
No.
But we do know that, what was his name? JP something.
Yeah.
I didn't catch the surname.
No, it was difficult in the episode, because I tried to listen to it, but because it was said on the radio, but it was said so quickly. It was like, what was that?
Yeah, well,
and it's not mentioned either.
We'll slow it right down.
Yeah,
we'll try and get that out. But it's JP someone. He's on the mend.
Yeah.
So maybe because we've previously seen Bugs Bunny return from the future to stop a super mutant future by stopping the guy making the superpowered carrots.
Yeah.
And it looks like Daffy was put on task for this one.
Do you think he was tasked by Bugs?
I think he was tasked by someone. I think at this point they are working for the agency, or at least an agency.
Yeah.
Like they are all agents in the field just trying to stop these things from happening. And this time Daffy was on the case, and I think his chosen method was to bring the original mastermind back into the fray.
Yeah, which hopefully will work. And the thing is, he is the logical choice to be sent in, because if you've got that butler who's not allowing anybody in, Daffy's the persistent, annoying one who's going to get past that butler.
Exactly. So on the other side of the Daffy coin at the time, he was like sort of a down in his luck salesman.
Yeah.
He seems to be sticking at it, but it doesn't sound like it's going to have worked out very well for him, because our first episode this week, which is a Cinecolor, so as we all know, that means we're on Clone Watch.
Yeah.
It's called Riff Raffy Daffy, so it sounds like he's going to be
real down
pretty
on his
hard
luck.
up. It's a Daffy Duck and Porky Pig number from November 27th, 1948. Join us in watching Riff Raffy Daffy. Okay, as suspected, Daffy is down on his luck.
Yes.
However, the same could also be said for Cop Porky from Porkytopia. Former chief of police of the nation-state of Porkytopia has not been reintroduced into society.
Well, he hasn't, because he's kind of... It looks like he's just kept his uniform.
Yeah.
And has just decided to go copping it about. It's just like, I'm a policeman still. Because I reckon he's probably applied for the police.
Yeah. And they've got,
failed.
former chief of this is looking very...
and then the psych evaluation.
Porkytopia.
Yeah, but the psych evaluation, he starts like getting out his little wind-up children. And he's like, oh, I'm a father of children. Like,
it's like,
sorry, this job's not for you.
So the episode revolves around Daffy. He's sleeping rough.
Yeah, on the coldest night in 64 years.
On the coldest night in 64 years. And Cop Porky is moving him along.
Yeah.
He moves him along from the bench. He moves him along from, like, the tree. He moves him along from all kinds of places.
Because at first I thought, they've got some really odd laws about where you... Because he was like, no sleeping in the trash. Like, so, because Daffy was sleeping in a trash can. He's like, no sleeping in the tree. And it's like, these are really odd laws to have. But now that we worked out that he's not actually part of the law, these are just laws he's making up.
I don't know. I mean, I think they're probably written somewhere. I just don't think I don't think he's enforcing them for that reason.
Yeah.
But he's moving Daffy along. He turfs Daffy out the park. It starts to snow, and Daffy takes up stead in a furniture shop.
Yeah, it looks like a department store.
Yeah, a department store, but it's like a display in the window, like a nice armchair, cozy fireplace.
Yeah.
And he sets up shop there. Once Cop Porky gets wind of this,
he's not happy about it.
He's in there trying to chop him up with an axe and such.
Yeah, that escalated real quick, didn't it?
And Daffy's being very hospitable. He's giving him cigars, giving him a drink.
He did then squirt him in the face with loads of soda. I reckon if he hadn't have done that, if he just sat him down and went, cigar, drink, and just like left him, he'd have probably been, he's like, soda, and Porky's like, yeah, don't mind if it was like, have all that.
Yeah, he did. Him. Maybe overstep the hospitality mark.
A little bit.
But yeah, in the end, Daffy, as is his wont, wheels out the kids. But they're not kids, they're wind-up kids. So we've got to ask ourselves, has Daffy fallen out of favour with
his mates?
His mates? Because it was always just his mates, or nearly always. He does have kids.
He does.
But
it was normally just his friends dressed up. I reckon what it was, I reckon they were probably just at home, and he didn't have like the time to kind of rope them in.
He is out on the street now.
He is. And so why isn't he staying with them? But
that's what I mean. So I think
it doesn't matter if you're friends with Daffy. Would you want him living in your house? Because Daffy's my favourite character. I don't know if I'd invite him to stay.
It's like we'll get you. There's a nice hotel down the road.
Yeah, I don't mind helping you out, getting you a room, but I don't want you staying in here, pal.
Yeah, I suppose so, but I don't know. I think it feels like they'd still
help him out.
Of a pickle, especially because there'll be a phone in there. You can ring him up.
Maybe he's just too proud.
That's never been an issue before.
No, that's true.
Literally never been an issue before. When they all dressed up as his Russian family.
Yeah, that was quite good.
But yeah, so he came out with like wind-up kids.
Yeah, they actually had a key on their heads.
And that was fine. And Porky leaves him alone. He goes, I didn't know you had little ones. And he leaves them in the department store. Yeah. And then you cuts to Cop Porky, and who we cannot stress enough is not Porky Pig.
Yeah. It's not Porky III, it's not Porky IV, it is just one of the decoys. It is the
former chief of police of Porky III's nation-state of Porkytopia.
Yeah.
Now dismantled.
And all of those Porky lookalikes, the kind of,
they just need a place to be.
Bullet fodder, I guess, is what they were, really, weren't they? They were there to be
to be decoys when the people were trying to assassinate him.
Yeah.
But they've all been reintroduced with varying levels of success to society. But anyway, Cop Porky leaves him alone, says, I know what it's like to be a father, and it cuts down, and he's got clockwork kids as well.
3. He's walking hand in hand with 3 clockwork children.
Which is why we think he didn't get his job at the police.
Yeah, because if you go in saying, I'm a family man, and you bring in clockwork children, people are going to be like,
I don't want that family man. Be a policeman. I want that man to go home immediately.
Yeah, he comes in with his axe and his clockwork children.
Did, but unfortunately, he still had his uniform, he still had his truncheon, and apparently he still had a massive axe.
Yeah, and a cannon.
Yeah, the cannon didn't come from the department store.
I assume not.
I mean, although they were in the guns bit, but it was for hunting, and I
Yeah.
don't think that counts as hunting.
No, what was interesting though is, did you see the buckshot?
Oh yes.
So Daffy's running through the department store away from the buckshot, and now this is a gun that he sold to Porky, and he says a duck will do anything to get some cash. He sold him a loaded gun for duck hunting. Just sell him an unloaded gun. But anyway, Porky fires, the buckshot comes out, Daffy's running away, opens a door, goes in the room, closes the door.
Presumably has a Matrix-esque scene when the bullets come in,
but they
grab
open the
door
door.
handle, open it, close the door behind them as well.
Which is nice. You don't want to leave the door open.
And then, you know, the room, like in classic cartoon style, like the door just pulses a bit, and then Daffy walks out just...
Yeah, what did he do? Kick
Dusting
the
off his
ass of
hands.
all the buckshot?
Yeah.
Or did
I reckon
he
it was like full-on martial arts in there.
Yeah, just like pow, pow, pow.
Yeah, like a D&D monk.
Yeah.
Just catching shit. But yeah. I mean, that does mean he now has a handful of cash and...
he's living in the department store.
He's living in the
but
department
he's probably only living in there until the morning when the manager comes in and goes, look, you can't be here.
Yeah, it's just
Porky,
being
like
coldest
Porky
night.
said, you can stay here as long as you want. Porky's not the law. He doesn't have the right to do that.
We know full well that, like, I mean, the agency obviously can't pay very well.
Well, I mean,
Unless
it's
he's in, like, deep cover.
Yeah, well, that's it. I'm thinking he's so deep in cover that it's just like, you know, they disavow all knowledge of him, and he doesn't get paid.
He's keeping up, like, no one's necessarily looking for him. He's keeping up his backstory to an like almost unnecessary level. He's been reading his Stanislavski. He's looking at the Unbroken Line, and he's gone like,
they're trying to pay him.
My arc is this: I'll be working in the hotel, and then I'll get fired from the hotel, and I'll be a salesman of gags, and that won't go very well for me. But I will use that to sort of hunt down a criminal.
Yeah.
But then. Like, I'll get gradually more down on my luck until I'm sleeping on the street. That's my arc.
Yeah, and he's doing it.
And everyone at the agency is like, we could probably find
you don't have to do that
in like high society or something, like a good. Yeah, no, I've got my bit.
So I'm thinking he is being paid for it, but it's all just going into a bank account that he's just not accessing. He's just like, nah, I'm not touching it.
He's got savings.
Yeah, but I reckon he's
he occasionally
really well
dips
off.
into there to buy some Clockwork Kids.
Yeah, I think he's really well off, but he just doesn't. It's Daffy, isn't it? Like,
it's possible. I mean, we won't find out until we see the end of whatever arc Daffy has written for himself.
I don't know if that's
because
ever
I think
gonna
that's the great thing here for me is that, like, I'm pretty sure that Daffy has orchestrated
his own demise,
his own demise, like, for some sort of tactical reason.
Yeah, but I still it's
reckon
a gag, innit?
Of all of them who have been either agents during the war or doing undercover work for the agency, Daffy's the best spy.
He is.
Like, I don't know how. It's a lot of power play.
The thing is he's getting the job. I do think that he's maybe not consciously, but he can just see how it all fits together.
Yeah.
So he's seeing, you know, like cogs moving and all. Like he can see how it all goes together. But I don't think it's consciously.
He can see what people want, what people need. He can leverage. He goes, like, he might be doing this whacked out sort of thing, but like, he knows because that will, you know, domino effect into that.
But I don't think it's a conscious thing.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't. I think he's just like, I want this to happen.
Like Dirk Gently.
Yeah. It just happens.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Let's catch up with our other, super powerful agent of the agency, Bugs Bunny. He's on his Todd in this one. It's December 4th, 1948, and we're watching My Bunny Lies Over the Sea.
Interesting.
Okay, we're in a bit of an interesting situation here with Bugs because, as time goes on, it's become a little more convoluted and difficult to work out exactly where in Bugs' time and dimension traveling ways we are.
Yeah.
Now, my feeling initially was that this had to be from before he had his powers, because he was digging his way to Los Angeles.
Yeah, with his map.
With his map.
We've seen him do this before,
We've seen him do this before. But unfortunately, what we know from last week's episode is that he got his powers
Yes.
in 1948, like just now.
Yeah.
From a genie.
On October 23rd, 1948,
on October 23rd,
exactly.
1948.
Yeah.
So the question is, why is he using the map? Because previously, it's been easy to explain away certain things as just like an earlier bugs and a later bugs.
Yeah.
But now, from this point onward, we know that any bugs we see has to be
Has powers.
at least from October 23rd, 1948.
Yeah.
Because a bugs from pre that time would not be able to travel forward to here.
Yes.
So the question then is, why is he using the map?
Well, I think because he pops out in Scotland.
Yeah,
Well,
so he does go wrong.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking it is he's made his wish and he's starting to get powers. But I don't think he knows, because I don't think he wished for specific powers.
Yeah, I mean, so Rob, Kaiju FM Rob, posited that what Bugs whispered to the genie was simply, make me the most powerful rabbit in the world.
On Earth.
Oh, on Earth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's the caveat to that, yeah.
Yeah. Make me the most powerful rabbit on Earth.
Yeah.
And because at that point, it cut to him, like, just surrounded by lady bunnies,
Yeah.
shisha pipe, like, just having a lovely time.
Yeah.
Which is understandable for, like, your first use of your...
Yeah.
I'm the most powerful rabbit on Earth. So there's a possibility he doesn't know.
Yeah.
He's
Because
got
the
these
thing is
powers.
like the on Earth bit was the bit that was taken literally, which is why so when he's on Earth, when he's standing on Earth, he's the most powerful.
What's interesting about that is if the genie had to grant him these time-traveling powers
Yeah.
to make him the most powerful rabbit on Earth, there's another rabbit somewhere with a level of power just underneath that.
Yeah.
So we've got somewhere in the wings a rabbit
Who is
of almost equal power. Because I can't imagine the genie would go above and beyond.
no.
Because, frankly, Bugs was very, very irritated. For that
Either
genie.
either that, or at some point there will be a rabbit.
Yeah, but
Because the thing
in
is
his
that
wish, it didn't govern the time, right?
no, well, no, but the thing is as soon as maybe that's why his powers keep getting better. Because every time there's a rabbit who gets a power and equals Bugs has to go ahead. So his wish is ever growing.
So he remains the most powerful.
So he remains
rabbit
because
on Earth.
that's what his wish was, and the genie has to make that
And
happen.
he does keep getting extra.
He does.
What's going on?
So I'm thinking he hasn't developed his TARDIS power abilities because currently he's the most powerful rabbit on Earth, and as soon as a rabbit gets as powerful as that, he then jumps. And I think what happens
So
in
do
this
you
one,
think that between October 23rd, 1948, and December 4th, 1948, a rabbit got
well, yeah, because I mean,
like teleportation powers?
Yeah,
and
all it takes is for a rabbit a non-sentient rabbit to snap
and
and require that power, and then boom, instantly Bugs isn't the most powerful rabbit, and his power has to grow. So I'm thinking what happens in this is he's just trying to get to LA the same way he always tries to get to wherever. He uses his underground map and he's got a shovel and he's digging his way there. And at that point, a rabbit snaps and gets some level of power which allows it to travel instantaneously, or at least semi-instantaneously, and Bugs develops his TARDIS power and doesn't realise and
jumps off course.
Yeah, ends up like going boop and jumps to Scotland. And so when he pops out the ground, he's like, "Oh, where's LA?"
There are some things I've learnt about Scotland in the Tooniverse.
Yeah.
Well, from our sample group of one, no one can do a Scottish accent.
Nope.
And also, so basically the episode revolves around Bugs is running with this Scottish bagpipe player.
Yeah.
Bugs thinks it's a monster attacking a woman.
Yeah,
So
initially.
he smashes the bagpipes up. Then he realizes that it's a man, and he's like, "This is an aspect that's strange to me." Well, it was strange to me immediately, and then became strange to me again later on. Is Bugs seems to have issue with a man wearing a skirt, and of all the people to have issue with a man wearing a skirt,
Yeah. It's
Bugs
just like,
Bunny.
really,
is
Bugs?
not-
Like, you've got hang-ups about this?
But then again, if he didn't have his TARDIS powers at this point, and
Yeah.
didn't know about them, he doesn't have his super wardrobe, and he
that
probably
is
hasn't
true.
become addicted to disguises by this point.
Yeah, that is a good point, actually.
But then later on in the episode, when he's challenging this guy to a game,
Yeah.
he's suddenly full on into his aping the Scottish.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you do know Scotland's a thing,
Yeah.
but you didn't know about the kilt.
Yeah, well, but again, I'm thinking it's possibly just really good at mimicking accents. So as soon as he hears it, because the thing is, like the only thing he was doing when he mimicked the Scottish thing was he just did the accent.
Yeah,
he was
and
just
again-
an old man. Like he didn't do anything else particularly like Scottish. He just did the accent the other guy was doing.
And I
He
cannot
just
stress
copied it.
enough, not a Scottish
Yeah,
accent.
but that's because he was copying the other guy.
Yeah.
So I think he was just like, I'm going to imitate what he's doing.
But yeah, most of the episode revolves around them playing golf with one another.
Yeah.
The Tooniverse Scotland clearly shares a stereotype with our world Scotland in that they're supposedly a bunch of tight bastards. Because at one point when they're playing golf, Bugs has taken 55 strokes to do something. He writes 2.
Yeah.
And the Scotsman takes issue with this and says
Obviously.
it was 55, and then Bugs immediately just starts like he gets up
Auctioning
something,
him down.
auctioning, and the Scotsman haggles him down.
Yeah. Haggles him down to 1.
Yeah,
Bugs was like, all right then, I'll have that.
yeah. So like that's definitely definitely transfers into the Tooniverse that stereotype.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of it's kind of strange. I can't even really remember why they were playing the game in the first place.
I'm
He
not
tried
sure.
to challenge
Yeah.
him to cards.
Yeah.
And the Scotsman said, we're not doing it, we're playing
yeah,
golf.
Yeah. Well, I think it was just like, do you want to play a real game? Golf was what he brought up.
Yeah, but what was the challenge for? Why do they need to play a game?
I'm not sure.
Like, it just seemed to come out of
It
nowhere.
was just like, right, we're playing golf now.
But, yeah, I mean, so, yeah, it's interesting to me because Bugs is still using a shovel to dig around, so, like, he clearly didn't even have, like, spatial TARDIS powers.
No.
We don't know even if he's got time ones yet.
No, we don't know.
We
Well,
just think
as far as we know, he's only got the ability to jump distance.
Yeah. So, that's interesting. We'll see how it progresses. Keeping a close eye on, like, what I presume we're calling true Bugs at this point.
Yeah.
Like until he gets those time travel powers, we can be fairly confident that if we see him digging,
It's the true Bugs.
yeah. I mean, because it still might take him a while because he was still using a shovel later in the episode.
He was, yeah.
So he clearly hasn't noticed that that's the case. He knows he was thrown off course,
Yeah.
but he doesn't know
That he currently has the
because
ability
he thought
to.
it was because he didn't take a left at Albuquerque.
Yeah.
So you know,
Well,
Like-
we'll see. I mean,
we'll see how it goes. But yeah, other than that, I don't think that episode's going to give us much. But it is interesting to see just have this brief window, because I imagine it will be brief.
yes.
But a brief window where we are pretty sure what stage Bugs is in
we have,
power-wise.
yeah.
Because it's gone from none, except presumably the rabbit tracks.
Yeah.
But that's more of an infrastructure thing.
Yeah. I think that's just all rabbits have the ability to do that.
I agree. Rabbit Tracks, for those who are newer to the podcast, was there's these
It's almost like a
train
railway
tracks, basically,
system.
a railway system of like paw prints certainly around the United States.
Yeah.
Along which a rabbit can travel at tremendous speed.
Yeah, because he doesn't have to concentrate on where he's going. He's essentially on rails. He can just run full pelt.
Yeah.
And he'll be on rails.
And full pelt is absurdly fast.
Yes.
That said, then, shall we move on
It's probably not a bad idea.
into the last one of 1949? It's called Scaredy Cat.
Yeah.
Got Sylvester in, and it's the first use of Sylvester's name, apparently.
Okay.
because he's been an alley cat up until now as well.
Yes,
like he's never been a pet yet.
No, like no one's ever called him Sylvester.
So yeah, and so it's the first use of Sylvester's name. He's in there with Porky Pig, as ever. Like, know your Porkies. Like, you gotta keep on it because there's a good few about. There's
a lot of them kicking about at the moment.
I think that's one of the first things we should rock on the Instagram account is just know your Porkies.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like Porky the Third, mad with power. Porky the Fourth, hams up the stutter.
He really does. And then we've got the policeman Porky, Dr. Porky. Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's tons. There's all kinds of Porky, and they're never the same dude.
No.
But he's in there with a Porky Pig, so let's find out who it is. Let's watch Scaredy Cat from December 18th, 1948. Porky the Fourth.
Yeah, definitely Porky the Fourth. Definitely. Like, that stutter, there was just no hiding it.
Yeah, it's so intense.
Yeah. Sylvester, hench as fuck.
Yeah, that's a power we did not know Sylvester had.
No.
In fact, we've been struggling to find a power for Sylvester other than drunk, really.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, is like, Sylvester didn't talk in this. And have we ever actually seen him talking to anybody yet? Other than other kind of...
just sort of muttering to himself.
Yeah, or non-sentient. I just don't know if he's had his moment yet.
Yeah, he definitely has, because he's hired himself out as like a mouse catcher and stuff like that, hasn't he?
Yeah, but... he hasn't.
He's done some opera singing.
He has done some opera singing. Yeah, it was just he didn't speak of it, and he seems to have been... we know Porky the Third had a sub-dom thing with dogs. Do you think Porky the Fourth has it with cats, and Sylvester is now doing that?
I don't think so. I think
they had an odd relationship going on there,
because this is the first time Sylvester's had a name, and this is the first time he's shown any sense of sort of duty or like loyalty to another animal at all. And I think he's realised that if he doesn't speak, he's just a lovable kitty cat.
Yeah.
And he's been taken in. And so it's been working out for him.
Yeah, so he's just staying stum and
and no one can tell he's just a pisshead.
Yeah, with his big red nose.
Yeah. But ultimately, we discovered that Sylvester is hench. So the episode revolves around them going to stay. Are they going to stay there, or are they moving in?
I think it's where they're moving in, because the realtor said that's like the only place they can get. And it's this big, old, spooky-looking house. And it's massive. It's a massive house.
But Porky's loving it. Porky's
he's
this place is this quaint and lovely.
Like a quaint mansion. Is that a thing?
To Porky, apparently. I mean, he is in show business.
He is, but, palaces is the next step up.
But so he's moving in there. Sylvester's terrified. He tells Sylvester to stay in the kitchen. That does not happen. Sylvester basically adheres himself to Porky's back.
Which is amazing.
And Porky goes up to bed. It's the most naked we've ever seen Porky Pig, which is completely naked except for a cat.
Yes, stuck to his back.
But, the early part of the episode is Porky just trying to go to sleep and realising Sylvester's there.
Yeah.
He kicks him back downstairs into the kitchen, where we see a sort of little parade of mice.
Yeah, so
there's two ahead with like candles.
Carrying candles, yeah.
And then there's
two carrying
a cart. With a cat in it, like tied up, and then behind them, with like an executioner's mask on, carrying an axe. Follows presumably an executioner mouse. Now, there's a lot of mice live in this house. We see that at the end of the episode, but they've clearly reached a stage in their society where this is the way things are done. Yeah,
they're almost kind of like some sort of like weird cult sort of thing, aren't they? Because like they really don't want anybody else in that house.
No, they've got dominion over it, and they don't want to lose that.
Yeah, and they're actively trying to kill Porky and Sylvester.
Yes.
in various different ways. But there's lots of like trapdoors and like hidden compartments. Like this house has either been designed that way or the mice have set it up this way.
Yeah, I think the mice have modded it because it's been on the market for a while, right?
Yeah.
But so in the end, Porky lets Sylvester stay up in the bed.
Yeah.
The bed gets tipped out the window.
Yeah, it gets pushed out the window by the mice.
They just push it?
Well, they get underneath, lift and carry.
Yeah, so a bunch of mice carry the bed, chuck it out the window. It falls down onto a flagpole, so it's sort of like vertical.
Yeah.
And Porky says it's chilly, sends Sylvester out to close the window. When Sylvester gets out the bed, the bed springs back up. And when Sylvester goes... And so that was the point where we concluded that Sylvester's very dense.
Yes, he wears a lot.
But yeah, he goes... I think he opens like a birdhouse or something on a tree.
Yeah, so there's I think... I mean, it looked like a cuckoo clock, but I think it was a birdhouse. But he goes over to it, shuts the window on the birdhouse, walks back, and this is all in midair. He hasn't realised he's in midair.
So our triangular gravity still holds.
Yeah, that still works. And then he ends up, when he gets back to where the bed should be, realises the bed isn't there, looks down and then falls. Yeah. But he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. But Porky, the bed does fly back up into the room, but Porky has a night's sleep. Yeah. Sylvester...
Well, he stops an anvil from... So as soon as the bed ends up back in the top, Sylvester falls downstairs, comes back upstairs, opens the bedroom door, and a compartment above the bed opened, and an anvil came out, which
and
the mice
Sylvester
were doing.
just catches it.
Yeah, he just runs up and just goes, poof.
And it's like, he's hedge.
Yeah, it just stops.
But again, this is like the first time we've seen Sylvester care about another creature at all. Sylvester winds up spending the night... in the kitchen. Porky leaves him in there.
Yeah, from like 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. He ends up in the cellar.
Yeah.
Like, he gets lowered down in the cellar.
But we don't see what happens. What we do see is a grey, like, just hair, just jostled, standing up on end, like, almost like zombie-looking Sylvester returned to the bedroom.
There's something
Porky thinks it's makeup and, like, just tells him to shake it off, goes downstairs. He chastises Sylvester for being a scaredy cat, and then he marches into the kitchen. Yeah. And then we just see the little sort of vigil and parade happen, and Porky is on the cart with a sign that says, "You are right, Sylvester." And Sylvester runs out the house.
Yeah, he loves
and at this point, I thought, That's is the end of Porky IV.
Yeah, this is how Porky IV dies.
But a sort of little fairy godmother
I think
it's like,
do you think maybe it's his conscience or?
Yeah, I reckon so. Gets there, gives him a brief PowerPoint presentation, like a flip chart.
It's a PowerPoint pep talk.
Yeah, showing him the relative sizes of a mouse and a cat and calling him a coward and sending him back into fight. At which point, Sylvester snaps the branch off a tree, goes, "Nah, that's not good enough." Turns out, takes a whole tree out of the ground, goes into the house, and we just see the whole house just shaking, and this just torrent of mice leaves the house. And it's like, wow, he's
really hench. He's got
strong.
super strength.
So, like, that's... Yeah, and then at the end of the episode, it's just Porky going, "Oh, thanks for saving me."
Yeah.
And then the executioner mouse comes out the clock and conks Sylvester on the head. And we don't actually see Sylvester get back up again, do we?
Nah, but he's got to be fine. I mean, he took an anvil to the head, a ball and ball to the head. He took a lot of things to the head.
Now, what I do want to tackle here is the executioner mouse takes off his mask, and he's got like a sort of Napoleonic hat and a sort of pencil moustache and like just teeth all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, who's he? Who's this crazy character?
Yeah, that's it. Because he does like a crazy accent. And I can't really pin down what accent he's trying to do.
Yeah, but like just by the attire, like it's just like, are these like Is it like these Napoleonic era mice, right? Like,
I mean, that's the cult that they've like. That's the kind of uniform for the cult. Is he their
charismatic leader?
I mean, he's not very charismatic, but maybe
that's why he wears the executioner's mask.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of an odd one because like we've seen mice in all various different forms of the cartoons and stuff like that. So we know that they're not in that era.
Yes, but we have seen a few different situations. Like, so the European Society of Mice seemed very quaint, but really quite advanced technologically. Yeah. Like they were going on like, aerial tours around like
monorail rides and shit.
Whereas, Like,
But
we've also seen it be very
in the
quaint. We've
US
also seen just like little pockets of it, right? Like, just that's what these two are doing.
Yeah, but I think that's just what their cult is. I think that's just the garb for their cult.
Do you think mice are particularly prone to cults in this situation?
Well, do you think they're a bit kind of easily led?
Yeah, or yeah.
I mean, possibly, because the thing is like they are very prolific. They have lots of kids, so it's very easy to grow a cult quite quickly.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Yeah, so, you get one mad bastard, raising a ton of kids, and
it's very easy for a cult, especially if they've had that house for a while, and they definitely have because they've had enough time to mod it really quite a lot.
But it's the kind of thing that you would sort of expect to happen in the insect societies, but we've seen them as very reasonable. But is that because of a hive mind?
Possibly, yeah. It's very easy to go, right, this is what we're doing if everybody's thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
But so I want to know what happened to Sylvester in that basement. I want to know what that missing 3 hours of Sylvester's life.
Was this the one that had an 11-minute version as well? Or was that the
No. The extent is like, okay, behind the scenes you get to see actually what.
It's like fucking Hostel.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Because the thing is, like, he came up changed. Like, he was really, he'd had a hell of a time. But that 3 hours, we don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's grim.
It looked real horrid, whatever did happen.
But we know it did not take nearly as long for them to sort Porky out.
No.
Because Sylvester, he was chained, but he still got out.
He did get out, yeah.
They didn't ever march Sylvester down on the little the corpse wagon.
No, the old corpse wagon. No.
Whereas
Porky
it was a matter of about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Sylvester they tortured for 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
And
he managed to escape. Well, they sent him back up, though. That was the thing. I don't know. Well, did he escape or did he get out? We just saw him.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Do you think maybe they've possibly brainwashed him a little bit? And maybe he's got some sort of hypnotic trigger that at some point's going to go.
It's going to be like the Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have to keep an eye out for that.
Keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
Something I've just looked back at the list. Actually, something we didn't mention for Riff Raffy Daffy, because that was a Cinecolor episode.
Yeah.
And because I was like, I didn't say anything about Cinecolor in there, but you actually mentioned something about.
Oh yeah. So I was wondering, because we're pretty sure Cinecolor started doing its clone thing during the war.
Yeah.
Do we think, because like Porkytopia existed well into the war?
Yes.
Do we think that Cinecolor created all the duplicate Porkies to flesh out the businesses of Porkytopia?
Yeah. So do you think that, like, once their kind of millionaire cash cow went a bit sick and they weren't getting as much money, do you think Porkytopia...
Porky stumped up the funds?
Possibly.
And said, I've got a project for you.
Yeah. So that's something to look out for. So any sort of Porky Pig episode that's Cinecolor, could we be on Clone Watch there for the Porky Pig?
Well, I think I think that's another thing to look for. But we're on Clone Watch and Cinecolor until we know that project has been shut down.
Yeah.
And until then, like, no one's safe.
No, anyone could be a clone.
So that brings us to the end of 1948. Tune in next week where we'll be a whole new year.
A whole new year. It's gonna be. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So we're gonna start putting some stuff up on Instagram. I'm gonna do a Know Your Porkies. Diagram. And
cobble that together.
Just cobble that together. And just any weird stuff that we want to think about or we see.
Yeah.
We'll be banging up there. So if you're not watching the episodes along, you can kind of see what we're talking about. So, and otherwise, until next week, have a good one. Thank you for listening. If you do listen on iTunes, please give us a review.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
It helps a lot, and because currently we don't pop up in any of their sort of ratings because there's not enough people rating it. So
there's not.
We know you're out there, iTunes listeners. Please just take a minute of your time, give us a review. Otherwise, just keep listening, tell some people.
Tell everybody.
Word of mouth is the way these things get around. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
How much do you like beer? Do you drink it? Do you ponder it?
We like great beer so much that we brew it. Maybe you do too, or are curious about the process and ingredients involved. Or maybe you just want to hear people talk about it.
Come and join us, By the Mash Tun, a fortnightly beer and brewing podcast by a couple of nerds where we brew some beer, drink some beer, and have a nice little chat about beer.
You can find us on kaiju.fm or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just search for By the Mash Tun. Crack open a brew.